Alright, the second episode of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier is out, so now let's talk about it with spoilers. That is a spoiler warning. If you have not watched the second episode yet, then don't watch this video unless you don't care. And yeah, this episode is certainly better than the first one, in terms of character, story, action, and just getting plain real. There's a lot to cover. So let's just dive right in. The episode starts out with an attempt to humanize John Walker. And look, I get that he means well, but I still don't like the guy at all. I don't. I think he's an asshole. This is the episode where we get the football scene that we saw in the Super Bowl ad last year. And actually, I did like that the marching band was playing that Star Spangled Man song from Captain America: The First Avenger. I recognized that melody during the Marvel logo. I was like, wow, that's just confirming what John Walker is here. He's propaganda, because that's what the song was in that movie. It was the propaganda song, you know, Captain America, war bonds. And looking at John Walker, yeah, the guy is quite the soldier. You can't deny that. He's done a lot of things as a soldier in the army. He's built up quite the reputation. So he's certainly qualified to be in the Olympics or something. Like if he were representing the USA in the Olympics, I would be like, yeah, go that guy. He would win us a lot of gold medals. But he's not Steve Rogers. And let's face it, Steve Rogers is what made Captain America Captain America. It's who he was. Yeah, it's not what you do, but who you are on the inside that defines you. Yeah, Batman, you were wrong in that respect. John Walker may be good at being a soldier, but he's still a smarmy asshole who I don't think will make the right decisions when the big shit's going down. The thing that made Steve Rogers is that he was humble. And that humility is one of the reasons that Captain America is one of my favorite Marvel superheroes. John Walker does not have that humility at all. He and his friend Battlestar Galactica, I have a feeling that they're not going to be around for too long. So in this episode, Sam and Bucky do meet up, and they're going to go take on the Flag Smashers. And pretty much right off the bat, you see that they are not too fond of each other. Bucky's pissed off at Sam because he gave up the shield, although you really learn why Sam did it later in this episode. It wasn't just because he felt he wasn't worthy, because he absolutely is, but it was for a deeper reason that I'll get into later. I did like that action scene though in Munich when they're on the road. They're fighting against the Flag Smashers, who, it turns out, they're all super strong. They're all super soldiers. And Bucky is one too. It's funny, my friend and I, we were watching this. My friend turned to me, he's like, Bucky's a super soldier, right? He has a super strength? And I was like, yeah, well, actually, I don't know. I had forgotten. But then when Bucky was running to catch up to the truck, he was running super fast. He jumped onto the back of the truck. I was like, yeah, all right, he is. Any and all doubts are now gone about that. Although the Flag Smashers still kicked his ass. And then John Walker and Battlestar Galactica come by to help, although they end up not helping at all. When they showed up, I was like, what are they gonna do? Neither of them have super strength, so they're just not gonna hold a candle to these Flag Smashers. And sure enough, they don't. They kick their asses. And I love this. Bucky and Sam are walking on the side of the road, and then the army vehicle comes up, and John Walker's like, well, that sucked, huh? And then at first, Sam and Bucky just completely ignore them and keep on walking. I love that. I was like, fuck you guys. That was a fantastic first response, or lack thereof. Although they do end up talking. And yeah, Sam and Bucky are like, we're not gonna work with you guys. Just because you carry that shield, John Walker, doesn't mean you're Captain America. And John Walker even says, I'm not trying to be Steve Rogers. I was like, clearly you're not, because you're not Steve Rogers at all. He's just not. Yeah, sorry, not sorry. No matter how hard this episode tried to humanize John Walker, I still don't like him at all, and I hope he gives the shield back to Sam. And I hope he does it in public, because that would be awesome. That would gain him my respect. I did like learning a little bit more about the Flag Smashers in this episode, particularly Aaron Kellyman's character, Karli Morgenthau, who is actually a gender-swapped version of Karl Morgenthau from the comics, known as the Captain America villain Flag Smasher. So there you go. So you learn that these Flag Smashers were all survivors of Thanos' snap. They all had to live during those 5 years where half the population was gone, and I guess they thought the world was better during that time period. One of them said, we got a taste of how the world could be. So yeah, I guess they truly thought that Thanos was right. They would have been behind Thanos and supported him during the Infinity War. Man, oh man, some seriously fucked up minds in this episode. And you also learn that they stole something from the Power Broker, who gets a mention in this episode. The Power Broker is another character from the comics. I don't know anything about him, but they're bringing him in, I guess, at some point, so I guess we'll learn. So yeah, the Flag Smashers are in trouble. I don't know what's gonna happen between the Flag Smashers and the Falcon and the Winter Soldier and John Walker and Battlestar Galactica and the Power Broker. I guess that's all gonna go down in later episodes, maybe towards the finale. But then we get to the part of the episode that gets straight up real. And yeah, this might actually end up being a bit of a trigger warning. This episode deals with some pretty heavy realistic topics involving the Black Lives Matter movement, which, as we all know by this point, is a very real thing. So if you're triggered by that kind of stuff, I am gonna touch on it here, so Just letting you know. We meet Isaiah Bradley, who is a character from the comics who actually did serve some time as Captain America. He was a super soldier, and you find out here in the MCU, he was a super soldier. He actually fought Bucky when he was the Winter Soldier back during the Korean War in the 1950s. Isaiah was a hero for the US military. But then after the war, they threw him in jail. Why? Because he was black, I guess. They did experiments on him, they tested his blood, and Bucky didn't tell anyone about it because he knew it would trigger people, I guess. And justifiably so, Sam gets pissed off about it. He's like, what the fuck, man? You mean to tell me there was a black super soldier this whole time and you didn't tell a soul? You didn't tell Steve Rogers about it? What the fuck? Yeah, that is some pretty messed up shit, Bucky. But then the worst part of the episode happens right here. Cause Sam and Bucky are arguing about it in the street, and then they're just randomly approached by the police, and they're all like, hey Bucky, is this guy bothering you? Really, it was when they asked for Sam's ID where I was like, what? Like, they start really getting down on Sam. He's not doing anything, they're just talking. And the police ask for his ID like they're going to arrest him. I'm like, this is bullshit. It really pissed me off when I was watching it, I'm being honest. And yeah, I know it really happens in this country, and I hate that too. That pisses me off even more. This is Andy Tolsky publicly saying on my YouTube channel that Black Lives Matter, and African Americans should not be treated any differently than anyone else in this country. Not by cops, not by anyone. I'm sorry, I usually don't get mad like this on my channel. You know that if you've been subscribed to me for a while. And normally I don't like to talk about things like this, like politics or whatever, but this show went there. It went there. And so now I have to go there. And if you're watching this video going, Jesus Christ, Andy, I've never seen you like this before. Are you okay? Yeah, alright, I do apologize. Again, I'm usually not like this on YouTube. But this show touched on a really relevant and realistic topic that, and I cannot stress this enough, should not be around. Systemic racism should not be a thing. It should be eliminated from this country. That's how I feel. It really just, it makes me mad. Although it is actually Bucky who ends up getting arrested in this scene because he skipped out on his therapy session to go help Sam with his mission. So Sam and Bucky both end up in that therapy session we saw in the trailer. And it's during that scene where we learn the real reason that Sam gave up Captain America's shield. He said it's something that neither Steve nor Bucky would really understand, but he did what he thought was right. I take that to mean he gave up the shield because he would get unwarranted hate because he's black. Some people in this country who are just racist, they would hate on him. They would be like, I'm not gonna imitate them. You get the point. But this is why I think John Walker publicly giving Sam Wilson the shield would be a great thing. Because that would be a great emotional character moment for everyone. It would be character growth for John Walker, and it would be him going, hey guys, Sam Wilson is worthy of the shield. He's more worthy than I am to carry on the legacy of Steve Rogers, the symbol that is Captain America. Because Captain America is supposed to represent America. Bear with me on this. This kind of reminded me of Hamilton. Lin-Manuel Miranda described Hamilton as America then told by America now. And what is America now? More culturally diverse. That's why the historical figures in Hamilton, George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, they're played by African Americans. And that's just a beautiful thing in my opinion. So anyway, that concludes my rant on that. So at the end of this episode, Sam and Bucky are talking. They're like, all right, we gotta get to the bottom of this super soldier thing. And Bucky gets an idea. He's like, we gotta talk to someone who knows a lot about Hydra and super soldiers. We gotta go see Zemo. Yeah, Baron Helmut Zemo, played by Daniel Bruhl. We saw him in Captain America Civil War. We're gonna go see him, and it shows him at the end of this episode. He's still in his prison cell. And so you're like, all right, we're gonna get Zemo in the next episode. Cool, I can't wait to see what he's up to. If he is up to anything, what can you be up to in a prison cell? So yeah, in the end, the second episode of The Falcon and Winter Soldier was certainly better than the first one. The writing was fantastic. It made me feel a certain kind of way. And now I'm definitely looking forward to seeing where it goes from here. So, episode 2 of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, titled The Star-Spangled Man. Have you watched it? What do you think about it? And what do you want to say about the events that transpired during this episode? Whatever you think, go ahead and leave a comment. And don't forget to subscribe. Black Lives Matter. And so do Asian lives.